We've gone through and spent a lot of time defining what does it mean tip to tail in a dev shop to do everything. Not just, how do I deliver software, but how do I do all the other things that, you need to have, the capabilities you need to have, how you run a dev shop as a business, right? I think that's different than most people are thinking about.
Welcome to USA Booming, where business gets personal as we tell the unique stories of the successful American entrepreneur. Here's your hosts, Ryan Culpepper and Sam Pennell.
And welcome, everybody, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. We're all cheersing.
Cheers.
I'll even take a sip.
Oh, wow. Can you do that on camera?
We just did. We just did. It's our show.
Welcome to the show.
And as you can tell, this is going to be a great show here. Very excited to bring not one, but three entrepreneurs here.
Yeah, I thought you were going to go 1, 2, 3, but this
One,
is
2, 3.
Yes. Here we are at Kingsman Software, Charlotte, North Carolina, Uptown, and really happy to be here. Not a paid commercial, nor was no money was exchanged.
No money exchanged. These guys actually got together with us just to talk about, being an entrepreneur.
I think beer was exchanged.
Yeah,
It was. So we came for the beer. We'll see if they make the cut here. We'll see if you guys meet the cutting room floor or if we're going to publish here. But
there's a booze globe in the corner, so if we need to dip into that.
That's our symbol of success.
it's going all night. We're going to boom all night. But
That's
if you guys don't mind, just go ahead and say hello, who you are, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
How far down of who you are do you want us to go?
No, just you.
Captain Carney, managing partner?
Yeah, boom.
Yeah.
Greg Hart, one of the managing partners, co-founders.
Bill Clerici, I'm one of the managing partners and the CEO.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Awesome. So you guys can see how success brings happiness, right? I mean, this team has been working together for quite some time now. It's been really cool to kind of watch this company grow up. If you are familiar in the Charlotte market anyway, I would imagine you guys are much bigger at this point, but in watching how fintech has grown in the Charlotte area, I would say that you guys are pretty synonymous with fintech and what's been happening. Probably one of the early birds to fintech now in the Charlotte area. But
Absolutely. And the accolades are there to prove it. 2-time Inc. 5000 winners, however many times on the
Fast
local
50,
Fast
blah,
50.
blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I tell you what, as we're talking about all the awards of this company, is there any particular award, any particular thing that really has happened that makes you guys pretty proud of what you're doing here?
I'll take that one.
Yeah,
that
go
one's,
ahead.
Fire away.
That one's special to us. Was actually best places to work.
Yep.
We've run a couple of those, and it's really not. It's not about what we've accomplished or what our revenue growth is or anything else. It's about what our employees think about us. And so that's the one that probably gives us. I'll probably speak for all three of us. It gives us the most pride because that means we're doing something right for the people that are working with us.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Well,
That's the big one.
Yeah, please go ahead.
That's
Bill.
the big one because one of the reasons we started the company is because we had all been in the corporate America world, and there's just a lot of stuff you have to deal with there, and it's not a lot of fun. It really, you can get good jobs and you can retire through those places, but you don't get to really feel like you're valued, and you don't get to feel like you're actually doing anything that's something exciting you can go tell your friends or your family about. So the fact that we've had folks come through here and actually bring their friends and family through as tours. I've never had that. No, working at
It's
a bank.
a beautiful site, as everybody can see. This is killer.
Yeah, and working at a bank, nobody ever brought their friends or family in to come see their cubicle.
Look at this desk.
Right.
This is beautiful.
Right, and the fact that we've had folks come through and they enjoy the space, they enjoy working here. That's super special. So all the other words are great, and we appreciate them. But folks wanting to work here and saying, yeah, this is a great place to work. That's what it's all about.
Well,
Yeah,
we
I think-
can.
I was going to say one of the first signs for me was seeing that is that our first year or two that we were in the space, NCAA tournament was going on, and everybody's typically heads out to the bars to go watch the ACC tournament, NCAA tournament, basketball tournament, and our employees decided just
Stay at work?
Yeah, stay at work. We had a big TV upstairs. They all brought some beer in, ordered some food. And they all together decided to stay together, watch the games together, like in the evening, all on their own. And I was like, we're doing something pretty cool
I think
here.
I've heard that. I think like this was like the spot at one point. Where, I don't do the uptown scene anymore, but I mean, we do know a lot of employees, and just with what we saw here in the town hall, right? Where you guys were just having a lot of fun. I came down, I took some pictures. Everybody's going to see it online. And I came down and I said, man, I'm a little jelly. Like these guys are like having fun, laughing and doing some fun things. And
Yeah, I've never been a part of a work environment like that. So as we were setting up, you hear laughter from upstairs during the town hall. It's uncanny.
Let me give perspective. We have stick-on mustaches that you can wear during town hall. Like that's and we have
It's
snarky
awesome.
T-shirt Tuesday. Like, we don't take ourselves too seriously, right? In the bank, you'd be wearing cufflinks and you know.
and it's
How many
very
Joseph A.
interesting.
Banks suits do you have? That's what it would come down to.
Well, no, and what's funny is though, right? You guys are fintech, financials. You work for banks and those types of things. Completely opposite, right? Of that. So when you go back to Kingsman and where it all started, the genesis of this whole thing, where did it all start? What brought on the thought process there?
So I'll start off with that. So 2013, myself and a co-founder, you had an idea to build a product in the financial services industry, and I left the corporate world in 1999. I've kind of been a serial entrepreneur ever since, and so we met on the soccer fields and continued to talk. And over about a 6-month period, I said, "Well, I can help you with that. That's what I love to do," and so. To build a product, it's going to take a couple $1 million before you see your first dollar of revenue. So
Right.
let's go build a company first. And so we just started off in the consulting side of business, established relationships with some of the big banks, and got our MSAs, et cetera, to move forward. And you quickly did that for a year, got some revenue, a lot of sweat equity, and then started off on the engineering side and started building software, and it just continued to grow from there. A lot of sweat equity, a lot of reinvesting into the company to get where we are today.
Okay.
So one of the cool things is, having known Kevin a while, we were pretty close to the beginning stage of when Kingsman started. So Kevin, why don't you talk about where you came into this, and then Bill will get your input. But you get this idea. How do you know Greg? How do you know Bill? How did you jump into this?
Right, and then you did it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, Bill makes a great point about working for the big corporate America. Like we're in Charlotte, right? Let's say it's the big banks.
it is.
Yep. So we've all worked either in or for the big banks, either in an employee or consulting role. And Bill was actually my client. That's how I know Bill.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
other founder,
time ago.
the other founder is my client, and then my employee, and then my client. It's very weird. But Charlotte's a small town. We're all in banking, and that's right. When we met, I had not made the jump yet to Kingsman, and I'm not sure Kingsman was even around at that point in time. But we just knew we could do it better. We knew that in large organizations, and this isn't really against banks, it's just large organizations in general. They protect where they are and they don't push the envelope. And not that we're trying to be on the bleeding edge, but we're just trying to. There's new trends that we can adopt DevOps and cloud without issue, and we could adopt new processes to build software, and we can actually empower our developers and empower our analysts to do their job, as opposed to pushing them down and yelling at them whenever they do something wrong. And 99% of the time they do it right, but the one time they do it wrong and yell at them, like, how about we celebrate the 99%? So it was so great to connect with Greg and Bill and have people that have like-minded that didn't want to stay with status quo. They didn't want to accept just filling out your 30 years and retiring and trying to stay as hidden as you can.
Right.
People that are looking to do something cool and have it make a difference. And when things are not right, have the empowerment to go fix it. And so that's what Kingsman and the Kingsman Way and how we approach our clients is really based. So, I just coming from a good company earlier and coming and making a great company, and the stuff that we do is really great. It's great to go home and be proud of what you deliver.
Yes.
That's why it's great to come into work every day.
That's
You can
awesome.
see it.
Kevin has a saying he likes to throw.
I have
out
a
there.
lot of
He has
sayings.
we call them Kevologies, but that's a whole different topic. But racehorses like to run. You know, I mean, you don't want to,
Yes.
and that's what we try to empower. He talks about empowering our employees and having high performing teams, and that is our motto. Our racehorses like to run. Let's go let them. You know, let's let them be high performing. Let's let them deliver. Let's let them go home, you know, at night and be proud of what they delivered, as opposed to being, you know, hand strapped. So
Right. I want to touch on that, but I definitely want to hear how you got into the mix and the picture here. It sounds like you were corporate as well.
Yeah,
right?
for many years through through some of the big banks and through mergers and starting out as a junior developer way back in the day, and you know, having to come up when you grow up in that environment, you know, you learn pretty quickly that, you know, there's only so much you can do, and you end up having to make a decision. You either decide that you're just going to go status quo and you just come in and you put your 8 hours in and you take your 6 weeks of vacation and you know, whatever, and or you know, or you go try to do something that's interesting and exciting. And the thing that's different, I think, about our industry is that most technology people are also entrepreneurs at heart. I mean, every developer I've ever met,
A lot of them are contractors, and they kind of have their own little show, right?
That's right.
They get
That's
hired
right.
for 6 months projects, or
and they
whatever,
love the
right?
entrepreneur part of it. Like, I want to be part of it. I want to grow something. I want to be, you know, something exciting. So there's that kind of energy that comes with folks in this industry. And so I think we had something to tap into. And so we got tired of the process. We were all in it, you know, we were in it, you know, year after year after year, and it just wears on you. You don't get anywhere. You don't feel like your career's going anywhere. Of course, you can make lateral moves and hop back and forth between the banks because that's what people did for years, right?
Absolutely.
And so we got to the point where we had started building, you know, a program inside kind of, you know, pocket of, hey, here's this new agile stuff. And this is a long time ago. This is 15 years ago. You know, it's like, hey, there's some new ways that are coming out there that how you can develop software better. And nobody else was doing it, right?
Especially the big banks, right?
The banks were not doing it, and we were investment bank, which is, you know, usually they're a little ahead of your general bank kind of stuff, right? Because the general bank is like, that's 20-year-old, you know, technology typically. But investment banking, they've got the money, so they're, you know, if you can make them more money, then they're willing to go into some different things. But even that was slow, and you couldn't get anywhere. So, but we started building a program internally and said, you know, here's different ways that you can build software. This is before Agile became big. I mean, nobody was doing Agile. It was just one of those things that people talked about, and we started saying, hey, how do you do this? I mean, and we started growing that, and we grew it. You know, but it's grassroots effort, you know, at that point. And unless you get a champion at the top of the house who's going to push something like that, and those guys just don't do that. That's not something that they do. So you get to the point where you're like, well, I can just keep struggling and swing upstream, or, you know, there's a better way to do this. And so that's what we did. We jumped out and said, you know what?
Just bootstrapped it and let's go.
We bootstrapped it. And I think for the three of us, I mean, I think that's one of the best things we've ever done. We've never given away, you know, an ounce of this company just to try to bring in some money. It's been, let's go work hard at it and be great at it. And instead of giving up the company, we're sitting here, you know, now going, wow, there's all kinds of things we can do. And by the way, we get to make the decisions. And that's a huge deal.
Well, and you know, the cool thing is this side of the table is hard-headed too, so maybe that's why we're getting along here.
Nice. We like that. I mean, if anything, you know, take a position, but go with it and be passionate about it. And I think that's what that's the differentiator between us. When we walk in and we talk to our customers, we just did this afternoon, we come across as very passionate about what we do. And people get that. And now they may not be able to take our, you know, what we're doing, and we may be too expensive for them, or maybe they're not ready to handle what we can provide for them. But at least at the end of the day, they know that we're passionate about what we do. And when they're going to work with us, they know what they're getting ahead of time. And that's different than I think you get from a lot of technology companies who are just going to try to say yes to everything. We can do anything you want, and no matter what. And you're like, yeah, that's not how this works.
Yeah, Bill, let me add to that for a second, Bill, because in that vein, we are horrible entrepreneurs. We leave money on the table all the time, right? Our clients ask us to do certain things, and we're like, yeah, you know what? That's not what we do. And the reason we don't do that is because it's not good for our employees. It's not good for our morale. And so we say no more than we say yes. But no, it quote unquote costs us money, maybe not directly, but indirectly. And that's probably strapped our growth a little bit. But that's not what we're here for. Right?
It defines your value. It defines exactly who you are. Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, they're actually talking about right out of the Entrepreneur book, knowing your value, knowing your niche, knowing some of the areas of where you want to go. there's a lot of things I want to touch on that right there. We talked a little bit about it earlier. The interesting thing is all three of you guys have had a corporate background, right? You started off working for a big company, those types of things. Almost sounds like right out of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or whatever book you read, right? And you came out of this. Right now, as we talked a little bit before camera, a lot of people come out of college, they want to just go ahead and be an entrepreneur, and this is what I want to start, and maybe they start out being a contractor or what have you, but how important was the corporate background to kind of bring in? Was it important to, no one's totally useless, they can always serve as a bad example, so we don't want to do what they did, but how important was the corporate background? Greg, with you, you can kick that off, but was it important at all? I mean,
I actually probably will defer to my two partners here, because I'm the one that didn't come out of the big banks. I've more been the entrepreneur for about 22 years, so I've kind of lived that life of doing it myself,
right?
and growing things. So
I'll start and I'll let you go, Kevin. So I think there's two sides of it. I mean, the first side is when we bring in new folks, especially if they're younger folks, we almost always go, oh my God, I wish I could put them in a bank for 6 months or 9 months so they could understand why we're telling them what we're telling them, and they could have a perspective, and they don't have it.
This is why it's so good.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't know. They don't know. They think
no
that,
foil.
Right. They think that the way it is upstairs in our shop is the way it is everywhere. And it's not like that. It's specifically designed in a way that is, pro-employee, pro-engineering. And that's not what the corporate places are about. Now, the other side of it is that we're always looking for good talent. And a lot of times you have folks who've been in the banks for many, many years, and they're looking to make a move. And you're like, whoa. We go, I don't know, because they have all the, we actually coined a term. We said they're institutionalized. It comes from the Shawshank Redemption. It's like, like
they've been there so long, they don't know how to live.
That they don't know anything else. It's like you go into the banks or the big corporations, and you kind of get used to the way it is. And then after a while, you start depending on it. And then you don't know any other way. And anything outside of that feels foreign and weird. And, you're not used to being flexible and being creative. And that feels very weird.
It's not empowering, right?
It is not. So then they come over. So we're always looking at folks coming from the banks going, oh, are they going to be able to work in our environment? Because we're going to have expectations. We're looking at accountability. We need output from people, right? I mean, there's all these things that we're looking for. We need team, right? And that's just not what is pushed in a lot of the corporate environment. So that's one of the things we're always talking about is this person going to be a good teammate? Because they come from this institutional background.
Sure.
Right. And how about you? How was the corporate life versus entrepreneur? Was it a good foundation for you, or? It seems like it was.
I think Bill's spot on. You need that foil to know how good you have it versus when you don't. So Bill's exactly right. People come here and they say they see the shop, right? The shop's a beautiful shop.
It's gorgeous.
They hear about things like there's a beer on tap. I mean, those are kind of like table stakes these days. But the real benefit that they have that they probably don't see are things like our teammates are output based. We expect you to deliver 10 points every 2 weeks. And when you're done with your 10 points, go do whatever you want. And so if you're working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you've delivered your points, go take Friday off. And so we do 4 10s versus 5 8s. That's actually refreshing when you know what your bogey is, as opposed to do this. Oh, you're done. Do this. Oh, you're done. Do that. You're never done. Right?
Well, then you might not finish that one because the next one's coming. So
That's
I might as well just.
Why am I trying harder if I don't get any benefit? Right? Exactly.
Absolutely.
Do you guys remember the movie Big, where the guy was like, "Dude, you're working way too hard on your," That's right. And it's like you kind of get
first big reference on Booming. Thank you.
There you go.
I love it.
Just introduced it to
the
the
guy
kids.
was like, he came in,
That's
and was like,
awesome.
"Oh, this is kind of easy. Bing, bing, bing. Slow down.
Yeah.
You're gonna make us all look bad." So is that the institutional?
There's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. we say there should be no meetings, because as a developer you have to get in the zone, right? You have to have some meetings in the morning and then put your headphones on and set up all your environments and get into the logical state of mind where you can develop the stuff, or you can test the stuff, or you can analyze and write stories, whatever your role is. And then between 10 and 3, do that, and then come out of your zone and then do some meetings at the end of the day. We call it piss off period, for the lack of a better term.
We call it pop.
Piss off period, right? Piss off, I'm working here. But if you think there's a manager calendar and a maker calendar, and makers need to be in the zone doing this stuff. Managers go from one meeting to the next meeting to the next meeting to the next meeting. they can think in half an hour chunks. You can't code in half an hour chunks, right? So it's a little. We protect our developers like that, and it's minor things they don't see, and then they go to the bank, and it's like, well, can you join a meeting at 11 o'clock? By the way, I give you 15 minutes notice. And then can you join another meeting at 12:45, which is kind of in between.
And we've seen that,
God,
right? I mean, that's the way it
worst.
is at the bank, right?
That's right.
I
And
mean,
there's 90 people on every call.
But and there's no agenda, there's no objective in the meeting. We're just going to join the meeting and talk.
there's no leader. Right?
So there's those small things that make a huge difference when someone is very junior and has not had that experience. They look at the bank and say, well, I could make, 25% more. You're like, okay, good luck.
Go have fun.
Yeah. It's so we get some boomerang folks coming back because once they see how that really works, they realize some of the benefit that we really provide, which is not obvious in the beginning.
That's beautiful. So, we call that time offensive versus defense. Get your offensive stuff during the offensive hours, and you can do that catch up at another time. All the emails and all those kind of things. So, Greg, let me ask you from a financial standpoint. I know you've been doing this 22 years now as an entrepreneur, but the mindset of maybe that quarterly reporting as a public financial guy, where it's you got to hit these earnings, these forecasts, those type of things, versus we're building something so good. Why would you measure it in short increments of 3 months? What does that look like as an entrepreneur to you, being, for lack of a better term, the money guy?
He is the money guy.
I
call
call
him Uncle Greg.
I call him
How
Uncle
far
Greg.
does the vision go, right? I mean, how far does the vision go? When you look at what you guys have created and where it's headed.
It's a nice balance between managing the short term and then the long term of where you want to go. And I think part of that is, in the early days when you're bootstrapping and you're trying to grow and everything you do is reinvested, you're running on 13-week cash flow forecasts, right? You're managing your cash flow weekly,
right.
kind of thing. And then you get into the evolution of, okay, what am I going to do? How's next year going to look? And where are we with respect to projections of what we thought we were going to do? And so there's a lot of forward-looking forecasts and projections, as we grow year over year. So it's very different than the big banks and the quarterly look, because we don't look at it from a quarterly perspective. We look at it, we do from the cash flow perspective, especially early on. But now it's like, where do we want to go? We when you grow 25, 30, 40, 50% a year, it's like, how long is that sustainable, and how do we do that? What markets do we go into, and then how do you project that, right? How do you plan that out from not only from an offerings perspective, but from a personnel perspective, from a space perspective, all of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I have to give props to Greg, because as a CFO, he takes care of stuff that we don't even think about. He takes care of things like employee stock options. He takes care of things like when we needed some growth capital, he went and researched growth capital and found some innovative ideas as to how we could bring some of that into the company without giving away equity. Things we'd never heard of. It was pretty unique. And then things like we're not looking to sell Kingsman, but you're always in the market.
There's always an exit strategy,
always a
right?
market,
We
right?
call that the butt naked price. Like,
All
all right,
right, I'm getting butt naked for that one. All right.
let's go.
That is very true. Shout out to Jeff. Shout out to Jeff.
Okay, so
I'm using that from now on.
Yeah, that's
like,
much
all right,
better than we were.
Clothes are coming off.
We were told it's the koi process. Like you're
koi pond.
fanning yourself on the side of the ballroom.
Yes.
But these are things we hadn't thought about, because we don't think about these kind of things. But that's why we have Greg here, because he can really focus on those things. We ask for stupid requests like, hey, can we turn our dungeon, because there's a really crappy conference room back there we call a dungeon, can we turn that into like a secret vault, using the Kingsman name, can we have like a secret bookcase where you pull open a book and we can open up the door, and then we can have all sorts of
It's where our podcast studio is going to be.
rhinoceros heads.
Exactly.
Right?
That's
Yeah.
what-
So,
exactly.
so yeah, Uncle Greg.
Yeah, Uncle Greg.
You have the money.
If Uncle Greg ever comes to you and says, "Give me your clothes," it's time to sell.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I don't know.
Some
You don't know Greg that well.
No, I don't. I don't.
But every small company has been to that spot, right? I mean, you make good decisions and you make bad decisions, and being a small company, that's part of what we do, and that luckily, hopefully, I'm not sure what the right word is, but we abstract that from our team.
Sure.
We are not the highest paid people in our company, like most entrepreneurs, I think, because you take those, slings and arrows that you would not as an employee.
No, it's right. Yeah.
People always think, oh, you're taking all the benefits. You're like, yeah. You should have seen a couple of years ago when things weren't so great.
It's the fringe benefits. But I mean, and along the fringe benefits, right, we're going to change gears just a little bit. And the benefit of being an entrepreneur, we've talked about it a little bit. I mean, there's also a tough side, right, where in the beginning days, you're really, what the heck are we doing? What was there an internal burning there to really get this thing off the ground that you guys, when did you know that this was something that could actually become something that you could bring in guys, from different areas and just, hey, they would want to be a part of this? When did you know that this was something to be born? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll say it's when Kevin and Bill, joined in, which was the first year. I mean, it was early on. And we just had that mindset of there's a better way to do it. Like there's a better way to deliver software in these big institutions, and we can be quicker and better at it and more agile. And our very first project, we were a month in, to the project, and like, my God, we would still be sitting here, 6 months from now, still trying to get licensing requisitions and gathering requirements, and you guys have delivered more in a month than we would have done for a year.
Time is money,
it was just a validation of our approach and how we go about it, and that was probably second, third year of the company or so. And when you get a top 5 financial institution that's given us those kinds of props, and we're like, this is good. We've got something really, really special here, and how we do things, and it's really what's born out of Bill's vision of the Kingsman Way and the whole team's vision of how we deliver software.
So what would you say is the Kingsman Way? I've heard that referenced a couple times. I mean, do you have to be here for 6 months before I know the Kingsman Way?
Yeah,
how long do you have?
There's a secret handshake you got to learn, and there's a hazing process.
All right, that's the dungeon.
Yeah, we take you down there.
You're down there locked
in
in
dark.
there.
There's some curtains. Don't worry about it.
I did see the paddles walking in.
Don't worry. Yeah. We can't talk about that.
And no paddles, really. I swear to God. But
no.
I mean, is there a culture? I mean, can you define the Kingsman Way, or is it just something that you kind of feel when you're in the shop?
It's probably a little bit of both. It's one of those things that when you say something like that, everybody says a particular way. Everywhere we go, somebody says, "Oh yeah, we have a great way of doing things," and then you go and you go, "No, you don't. You don't even have it defined. It's not even defined, right?" But I would say that the analogy I would use is it's like, even though I'm from Buffalo, so I'm a Bills fan and I hate the Patriots, but
Go Bills.
Yeah, but the Patriots have a program, right? I mean, whatever they do, they bring people in, and they have a way of doing things that just makes them successful, no matter who they bring in. And there's just a way about how they go, about doing their day-to-day job, and that's what we really have. We have we've gone through and spent a lot of time defining what does it mean, tip to tail, in a dev shop, to do everything. Not just, how do I deliver software, but how do I do all the other things that you need to have, the capabilities you need to have, how you run a dev shop as a business, right? I think that's different than most people are thinking about. They're thinking about, I'm just going to give some developers and we're going to go write some software, where we're like, your dev shop should be run like a business. And if you're running your dev shop like a business, you need to know everything about it. You need to know how, if you get nerdy, it's how does your automation work? How does DevOps fit into your, stuff? How do you do requirements management? How do you do these things? How do you manage them? How do you talk to your client? How do you have the right conversations? And there's a lot of things that go in there other than just, here's an agile process. It talks about Scrum or whatever and says, here are the 5 routines you're supposed to have, and here, that's what, when people say agile, that's typically what they mean, right? And in these days, agile, is like a bad term. You go around town now and you say agile, and people go, whoa. Yeah, we've tried that. We did that thing. And if you ask 10 people what agile means, you get 15 different answers. You do.
I would agree.
You do. I mean, because nobody
agree.
can really define it.
Right.
And so
what's your one question you ask people?
I ask one question to anybody who tells me they're in an agile shop. I go, "What's your velocity?" And I've probably asked it 2 or 3 dozen times, and I've yet to have a single person tell me.
Yeah.
They can tell me what their team's velocity is, and that's what we're based off of. We have to know what our output is. If you don't know what your team's output is, how the heck could you know?
You got to know what the score is, right?
You got to know what the score is, and so nobody's
Measuring
ever
results.
Yeah, nobody's ever been able to tell me, oh yeah, my team, we usually get around whatever points. I don't care. I don't even care what the number is. It could be 5, it could be 200. I don't really care. But the fact that they can't answer it tells you that, because that velocity number tells you a whole bunch of other things. It tells you how predictable they are. It tells you how are they tracking things. Are they measuring things? Are they? I mean, there's dozens of things you have to do before you get to say yes, we know what velocity means. And if you can't tell me what that number means, it means you're not doing any of the other things.
Right.
And everywhere we go, they say that, and they go, oh yeah, we're agile. And you go, okay, what's your velocity? We go, well, we don't really have one. And you're like, wait a minute. You don't even know what your output is.
You don't have a business, really, right?
You're not
out of
consistent.
business.
You're not predictable. And that's what we're really bringing to our customers is like, we have a program that says this is how we're going to be efficient. This is how we're going to be predictable and transparent. And that's completely different than what they hear from everybody else. Because we just talked to somebody today that were like, yeah, we don't tell our business people anything. We just tell them it's out there. And we're like, are you kidding me? That's crazy. Why would you ever deliver software where your people that you're delivering it for don't even know it's out there? You don't talk to them. And we're like, yeah, you know what we're going to do? We're going to tell you if we're doing well, if we're doing bad. We're going to show you the numbers. We're going to open up the kimono. We're going to show you everything about it. We're going to be transparent. And we don't see that from anybody else. And so people kind of they take a step back when they hear that. They go, wait a minute, you're going to tell me if you're doing bad? Tell me if you're doing good? You're going to show me numbers?
Flipping-lutely.
They don't. I mean, and so when they see that for the first couple of times, they go, holy cow, yeah, I can see what you said you were going to do. I can see that you did it. And now I'm starting to believe that, you're going to continue to do it. And they've never had that experience in a technology organization before. And we've all been there. We're like, yeah, there's no predictability. And if you're not predictable, how can you deliver software? Especially when you're providing a service that is all software delivery as a service. That's what we do. Right. So if you can't be predictable, you can't do anything. And so that's why, Kevin teed that up for me. But that's why that's the only question you really ever need to ask is what's somebody's velocity if they say they're agile. And that tells you everything that you need to know.
Wow.
Just for my opinion.
We also have just a series of we've guardrails, right? And
Yes.
we reference these guardrails a lot. But it's effectively like, what was that Benjamin Franklin book, the Poor Richard's Almanac, right? It's a whole bunch of phrases, right? Mm-hmm. Penny saved is penny earned kind of thing, right? So we do things like keep all work visible, right? So if you're going to go work on something and ask you to work on something, then let's put that on the board. So I know you're working on it.
Transparency.
So when you don't finish something else, I know why you didn't finish that, as opposed to saying, oh, well, you didn't really get your work done today. So it's things like that. It's things like if you don't prioritize, I can do this or I can do that. And if you don't tell me which one is most important, well, they're all important. Okay, I have to pick. So you're delegating prioritization down to your developer. No, you have to be the adult in the room and actually go prioritize what you want them to work on first and then next, which goes into reduce work in process, which
process. I'm hearing a lot of process.
In more of a vernacular, stop starting, start finishing. Right, so in the weekend you get the honey-do list because and you've got half the lawn mowed, you've got half the leaves raked, and you've got half the bathrooms clean. You're like, nothing's done. Everything's started, nothing's done.
What's Kevin talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we were just talking about that actually, but
I don't know.
No,
we have a lot of these phrases which are a little bit cutesy in some regard, piss off period and things like that, but they're born out of practice. Right. So we've done this so many times. We see all the things. It's a little bit boring. You're like, okay, I know this is going to end. I've seen the end. The butler did it. Can we just move to the end?
Right.
And our clients are oftentimes floored when we bring up issues. To your point earlier about hiding versus being transparent. Another one of our phrases is building software is a team sport. It is we're on the team. Our client's technology team is on the team. Our client's business team is on the team, and so it's not Kingsman issue. It's our issue. It's kind of like maybe it's like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. It's our time, right? So it's like we ran into an issue, I don't know, a month ago with one of our clients, and it was actually a third-party vendor system that they were implementing, and people were afraid to bring it up. You're like, look. It is the company's issue that we have to raise up and figure out how we resolve it. And maybe we can't resolve it, and so we have to work around it. Maybe we can find a shortcut or a workaround or a temporary fix. We have to collectively figure out what the right thing is. You have to give the generals the battlefield assessment so they can make the best decisions.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
And what's really interesting is that we're an engineering firm, really, at the end of the day, and we spend all of our time talking about non-technical things. Like
80% on
right. Kevin and I have not really said
behavior.
anything about, we need to make sure the developers are putting 80% unit tests. Oh my God. It's none of that. It's always around how do you communicate with the customer? How do you be transparent? How do you measure? It sounds heavy process, but it's not. I mean, it's process not just to have process. It's the right process at the right time in the right place. And you got to have the right outputs for that. It's like, what are you really trying to get from each one of these things you're doing? I mean, and Kevin said it's very simple things like, hey, we make sure we put agendas on meetings when we invite people to stuff. And you sit there and go, wait.
And an objective.
An
what
objective.
are we trying to accomplish in this
That
happening?
sounds
Think about
a little corporate.
Right. Yeah.
But
No, they don't do that in the
if
corporate world. They don't
do
do
they
it.
not?
No, God, no. I've never been on a meeting where anybody ever said,
Please
this is what we're
attend.
trying to get out of this meeting.
Have you ever been on a day call with me?
Oh my God.
I've had an agenda every now and then.
No, not you.
Yeah,
But-
not
But-
you.
all right.
No, but that's the corporate world. It's just they would send out invites to 90 people and everybody show up and you have no
I
idea
gotcha.
why you're there, what you're trying to
gotcha.
get out of. Whereas what we're trying to do in all of our routines, we're very agenda based. Like this is why we're here. So because we're trying to keep people focused to the pissed off period. We're trying to make sure that, the folks we're working with are only there as long as they need to be. Oh, and by the way, we're going to tell you why we're going to be there. So if it's not something that you need to be there for, don't show up. Right, we don't want to waste your time. So there's all these little things when you say, what's the Kingsman Way? It's all of these little things that you bring together into a program that help you be successful. And is that because you've got Tom Brady, or is it because you have an organization that's like, we coach really well. We have we concentrate on the defense, the offense, the special team. And you know what? You bring in different folks and they just produce if you put them in the right program, right?
Hey. You should change this to be a Nick Saban, Alabama.
Well, I was actually kind of
Thank you.
curious. Like,
Yeah.
do the Bills have a true process, or did they just get Josh Allen and a few good wide receivers, or is
They have Josh Allen. They have Josh Allen.
I like their coach too.
No, the coach is great. I mean, the coach is great. I mean, he comes from Carolina, so he comes
He
from the
married
Panthers.
into Buffalo, so please,
Oh,
please
okay.
don't
We were
get
just in
started on this.
Jacksonville and saw the loss.
Oh,
so that was rough.
Oh, yeah, that was bad.
Well, that's
Roll Tide.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to
But
do
it
any
is
Nick Saban
amazing.
thing.
It is amazing, right? They have that process that that they're doing something very different than everybody else. There's a reason why, right?
Yeah, they're all playing football.
And
At
nobody
best-
wants to play football in August in Alabama, right? That's the
best,
worst
Nick
part.
Saban, at best, Nick Saban has 4 years, right? At best.
Right.
And it's typically lower than 4 years, right? Because of people coming in later or leaving early. So imagine how you sustain that level and only have a player for 3 or 4 years. It's
right.
amazing.
It's a lot like Duke, right, Greg?
Oh,
A lot like Coach K when he's got going on there, right?
you lost me.
Did I lose everybody there? Well, look. No, and I tell you what. So listen, man, this has been awesome already. We could go for quite some time, actually, but we do have this little thing.
The booze globe is full, so.
yeah.
We'll just leave the cameers running.
By the way, just for fun, like when you're an entrepreneur and you get your first, I don't know, dollar bill or first paycheck, you kind of frame it and you put up on the wall. Ours was the booze globe. So one of Greg's
we got to get a shot of. We'll get a shot of it before.
one of Greg's clients wanted to have some sort of spreadsheet, and it was all hacky and it wasn't working. They wanted him to look at the spreadsheet. Like, we don't do spreadsheets. Like, that's not what we do. And the guy's like, I'm really desperate. Could you do it? And we're like, tell you what.
So wait a sec. You
It's
don't
gonna
do
cost you-
spreadsheets, and you're a tech company.
Isn't that funny?
Wow.
Yeah. No.
We get you off of spreadsheets. That's what we do.
So
Sorry, that was pretty.
So it was a very small piece of work, and we said it's going to cost you $329 plus shipping, because that's what the booze globe cost. Right? So that was our kind of first project.
You're paying for the booze
That's
globe.
right. You get the booze
love it.
globe. We will do that work, but it's
That was during Mad Men, and we were like, that's how you know if you've made it as a company is you got
right.
a booze globe. So
That's
we were like,
awesome.
we got to get a booze globe.
and then we learned to harumph.
Yeah, so as the CFO, the first 6 months in, like, we want a booze globe for our first conference. I'm like, yeah, no. Like, no, we want a booze globe. I'm like, well, let's go earn it. And so, like, Kevin's
did.
story was like,
So that's
we,
it.
We did a small little project. We earned $350. We went and
Pay
bought
us for a booze globe.
And I have pictures of Bill
Putting
assembling
it together. We had to put it together.
That's great.
If you still have those, I want those. We're going to put
Oh,
those
definitely
up.
have
We're
them.
definitely putting those
Yes,
up for
yep.
sure. For sure.
You
I think they burned.
I hate to break it to them. They know it's not 1960 Madison Avenue here, right?
No,
Anyway.
but it is cool. It is cool, though.
It's very cool.
Like when
Didn't
people
John
walk-
Draper wear snarky T-shirts? No,
That's right. But if you walk in, you see a booze club, you're like, oh, these guys are serious.
What's happening here?
Yeah.
The only reason why I've been pounding Kevin to get you guys on here is so that I could get the
Booze
Booze
Globe.
Globe
Yes.
and,
Makes
and
sense.
feel the experience.
It
Right?
makes
I've
sense.
heard all about it. It's synonymous with entrepreneurship and having your own thing here.
and
in
it
Charlotte,
actually
right?
goes with the name, right?
Yes.
If you consider us not closely aligned with the movie, but you can fill in the blanks. But the name, if we could jump on the name for just
Yeah,
a
please.
second.
I'd love that.
So we had a horrible name when we first started because we were a fancy name and there's like Latin involved and it was no one could remember it, no one could pronounce it.
Oh,
no one
do
could
share.
spell it.
What is it?
Come on.
It was called Develicus.
Develicus.
So it's development, devel, and locus, center. It's a development center. There's Latin
There's
there's
in
two
it.
L's, one L. I don't know. Is it devilicious? Is it devil locus?
Kingsman
Is it-
works.
Ooh.
Yeah.
We're like, okay, so forget it. So we, after
How long did that one last?
maybe a year at most. At
No,
most.
it was a couple
No,
years.
it's a couple years.
Did you get some questions with
suppressed-
the? is
Yeah,
it-
people could never remember. They're like, who are these guys?
It's like living on a street that
Yeah.
like you don't know how to pronounce
yeah,
it.
We
you just end up
You
saying,
spell it.
hey, man.
we spent more time pronouncing our name and explaining what it was
Right.
than we did actually talking about what we do.
Yeah,
And we're
you
like,
can't do
That's
that.
there's something
dangerous.
wrong here.
When
That's
you
very
need to
dangerous.
explain something, you explain a name, a company name, a program name.
Right out the
it's-
bat.
Forget it. It's out. But we had a head of marketing at the time, and she basically put us down on the psychologist's couch and said, okay, so what is your company all about? And we're like, well, we parachute in. We have all the right skills. We have all the right tools. We parachute in. We blow stuff up, and then we get the hell out. We're not the Army. We're the Special Forces. We're like SEAL Team 6.
There you go.
And she says, I think that name's taken. And so we couldn't use that. And we're like, oh, we're like the Green Berets. And like, she's like, all these are very violent. And so she changed tacks and she said, okay, so what makes you feel really, really powerful? And like, well, we all came from capital markets and trading floors, and we feel really powerful. We walk on the trading floor, and we got a pinstripe suit, and we got cufflinks, and we were talking to traders, and we were talking about real time trading and things like that. We're like, it's kind of like that movie Kingsman, where they've got the bespoke suits, and they have jets and cool technology, and they're kicking ass, but they are not taking the credit. They're in the background, right? No one knows who they are. And when they save the world, the headlines on the newspaper the next day are like, Prince Charles eats a cucumber sandwich. So that's kind of what we are. We're not there to take the glory. Our clients take the glory. We're just there in the background to help out.
Right.
And so we're like, Kingsman, that's it. And it just clicked. And everyone has loved it since.
Yeah. No, it is pretty awesome.
absolutely
It's a
works.
name that you don't forget.
No, and it's turned into a brand. I mean, like when we go into our
It
clients,
has.
they go, "Hey, are the Kingsmen coming in? Are the Kingsmen guys coming in?" And you're like, you know what? That's a thing. They would have never said that if they would have said the devil guys or the devil guys
devil
coming in.
Devil guys. Yeah. No.
Development with a kiss. I think.
Yeah, we did get that once.
Gosh. All right.
Hey,
But then we also riff on it too, right? It's just neat having, we have like craftsmen, our developers. We don't really want to call them developers or engineers. They're craftsmen because they're really good at what they do and they're proud of what they do, and they hone their craft. That's for Denise. But
Shout out to Denise.
It's the same. It's the same logic that you see in the movies. Is people wanted to get really good at what they do.
Right.
And so it all just kind of blends in. It's great.
awesome. Well, you know what? For sake of time, we could probably keep going for another hour. This has been awesome, but I think we need to change gears and do something really cool.
Well, real quick, I do want to hit you up just because I don't know if the fishbowl's coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, the fishbowl's coming up. I do want to find out, though, real quick, because we are butting up on time. This has been awesome. If you could define maybe one thing that would lead to success as an entrepreneur, right, with what you've seen, if you could just tell a 25-year-old, look, work hard, think out of the box, whatever it is. Is there not a silver bullet, but is there something that you would give a 22-year-old coming out of college? This is what it takes to become an entrepreneur. How would each of you answer that, or You know, go ahead, Kevin, and we'll just
I'm giving the eyeballs of don't ask me first. Right?
got to think of that.
This is what I give the waiter of like I don't know what I want to eat yet. So
All right. We appreciate that. We'll go with you because you did claim to be, you know, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, right? That's the badge you like to wear. So, you know, what would you say? I mean,
So I probably answer that two ways. First is be passionate about. I mean, go after, chase something that you're passionate about, that you care about. But I'll throw my CFO hat on because that's how I think. And it's plan, like look ahead, know what your know what your cash situation is, know how much you have, know how you're going to get there, know what obstacles lie 2 months, 6 months down the road, and so you can address those now. Like the last thing you want to do is call up your partners or me to say, hey guys, we got payroll tomorrow. I need $100,000. Like that can't happen. Like that's probably one of the biggest reasons why why companies fail. So just plan it out. And I'm a big believer in sweat equity. And so there's a lot of sacrifice. Bill mentioned it earlier. We own 100% of our company. There's a lot of opportunities we had early on to go raise capital. And if we said no, let's not raise capital for the sake of raising capital. We can do this ourselves, and we are so much better off now for it.
That's awesome. You went from passion to plan, which those are almost opposites.
Yin and yang.
Yeah. Pretty cool. How about you, Bill?
Hold on. I've been asked to hold this up to the camera.
Go ahead.
Where am I pointing it?
Go to Yash.
What does it say?
All right. It says weeks of coding can save you literally hours of planning. So to put a point on Greg's, this is our most recent.
So it's
snarky
not
t-shirt.
something that he's just answering. Like the planning is really the antithesis of
planning is one of our hallmarks because we walk into clients and like, can you just start coding? You're gonna like, it's gonna cost you $385 million. Like, how do you know that? Or like, you don't know our requirements. And like, either do you. So
right.
Let's just spend a little bit of time planning. In fact, we're going to give that money back to you. We're going to charge you for planning, and if you continue with us for 6 months, we'll give you that money back because it's so important to a successful outcome that 12 months down the road, that 4 weeks of planning will be a blip on the radar, but you'll have a much better product. And so trying to convince our clients to do that as well is just plan.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Do you have anything
Thank you, Rushmiller.
for Bill?
Well, probably for an hour, right? I mean, I think, I've learned probably so much in the last 7 years with these guys because it is a journey. And my biggest advice would be go become an expert on something so that when you get into business, that's not the thing you're struggling with. And Greg's spot on. I mean, you have to understand your financials. You have to understand your business. And, so you don't want to struggle with trying to understand how you're going to be technical or build a product or whatever those things are, or not understand how that works and have to deal with the business at the same time, because, you are going to have some huge ups and downs, and you better know about those things way before they happen. And if you're trying to figure out how to build some product because you're just learning and you've never really developed and you've never run a development team before and you don't really know what that takes, and you're gonna drop on top of that how you run a business, you are gonna fail. So get great at something. Go out and get great at something, become experienced, get experience at it. And then when you go into business, that's something you don't have to worry about. And I think that is one of the things for us that was great for us as a Kickstarter, is that when we came in and started the company, we already had a program. We already knew what the program is that we wanted to run, and we just implemented it. Now, we were going to try to do that and try to, say, oh my God, how do we do sales? How do we do marketing? How do you manage finances? There's just no way I think we could have done that. So I would say get great at something, know how you're going to run it from the operational and the day-to-day, and understand how that works. And if you don't have experience in it, the odds of you failing are gonna be exponential, because you're gonna get hit with business stuff like, how do you make payroll, right?
Right. That's all of a sudden people start. I've got employees. I got to make payroll. I'm not going to pay myself.
Right. And I think for the three of us, that is the fear, right? That's the fear that drives us. Is we have great people here that have come from a lot of different places to come work with us because they see the potential. They see a place that they want to come work. And the last thing you want to do is disappoint them by not doing a good job running the business, and then having to go to somebody and go, hey, I know you got a family and I know you've got bills to pay, but we didn't do what, we didn't understand how to run a business, so we're going to have to let you go. And I think that that's the fear that drives us, because we're like, yeah, we want to be a great company, but we also care about our people so much that we're like, I don't want to bring somebody in here and then, and then disappoint them and put them in a bad spot. And that's something everybody should be afraid of.
That was a great answer. I mean, just because you hear so much about, hey, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. But it's actually like, no, hell no. Like, you got to plan for this. You got to, it was great to get that tact. It was great to get
the worst day you'll ever have in a business is when you're like, yeah, we can't afford somebody, so I got to go upstairs and tell them that let them go. And that is the, I mean, for me, that's the worst part of, running a business, is if you have to do that. And we've had it every once in a while, you have to do that. And I had to do it back in the banks too, but it is the worst part, and you don't ever want to do that.
Right? Yeah, I think building on what Bill said, and I'll add a third then to my list, is surround yourself by great people, right? Yeah, I mean, I called myself the entrepreneur, but I had no technical background. And you surround yourself with really talented people, and and you've got, all of a sudden you've got 3 or 4 experts in the room that are building a company, not just one. Right. And I think that's key as well. And know when to bring them on.
Well, how many times have you seen a great product, but it failed because they didn't do these other things, the planning or just the people component, which is so prevalent in this. But Kevin, why don't you touch on that? Did you figure out what you wanted on the menu?
There?
Yeah, I'll take the chicken primavera. So I'll go with stick to your knitting. Right, you're good at something, and every small company has to pivot at some point. You have to. You have this grandiose vision as to what you're going to do, and then you try to put that in the marketplace, and the marketplace says, "I don't care about that. It's not important to me, or I don't value that as much as you do." So you have to pivot your company, and it's so easy to look across the street at what someone else is doing. You're like, "Well, they're doing that, and they're making lots of money. I'll go do that." Or they're successful. Money might not be the measure of success. And we did that a few times. We pivoted and we tried to do something that we weren't, and that crashes and burns. Yeah. Because you don't know what you need to do, what skills or what activities you need to do in order to make that successful. So as we went back to our knitting and what we're really good at, it just turned everything around. And we did that several years ago. And it's been so much better.
Right. It's great advice.
Know thyself and
know thyself.
Stick to it, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'll throw in one more thing in there
Please.
as well. This is kind of trite, I think, but people see people like being very successful, like in the NBA, or being successful on Instagram. I'll make tons of money. You're working on Instagram as an influencer, and you're like, yeah, you didn't see the 999 people that didn't work out for, right? And so don't think of these as being quick wins, right? It's a slog. It's a slog for years.
Be ready to go.
Yeah.
Be ready to fight.
Yeah.
So listen, you guys have thrown nothing but dimes this entire time. So usually this is something just to kind of help the interview along, because
I told you
guys have been awesome. So what we'll do is ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the fishbowl, and what we'll do is as you can see, these guys have passion, they have love for what they're doing, they know what they're doing, it's defined, they have process, and it's all come through very pretty. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're just going to ask you each maybe one question, because we're taking a lot of your time now. So thank you very much for that. Yeah, if the fishbowl sucks, that's okay, because you guys have been so awesome so far. It doesn't even matter. So we'll go ahead and hit you guys with a couple more questions off the beaten path, and let you get on with your night.
Okay. Great. And thank you for the time. This you guys have been gracious. Let me give one shout out real quick. So we get analytics on the podcast, and we get to see what cities people are listening from. So Ryan and I have 0 connections in Council Bluffs, Iowa. And so big shout out to Council Bluffs, Iowa. This is our first shout out ever. And so whomever, or if there's many of you listening in Council Bluffs, reach out to us.
Thank you.
And we'll send you a hat with a USA Booming logo on it.
Oh, nice.
So if you're from outside.
You guys are getting one too.
Oh, sweet.
They're super cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay, cool.
Don't you worry. All right. So this one's for Bill. Okay. And if you guys also want to jump in and you're just like, man,
Do we have the ability to reallocate it if it's not really for Bill?
yes.
Absolutely.
If it's a Porsche question, it has to go to Kevin.
Yes, we know
Greg.
that.
Or Greg. Sorry,
Kevin, what's your favorite Porsche? All right, Bill, what song would you make as your theme music for you? So you come into the room, it's like, boom, boom, boom. It's you.
Oh my God. I don't know that. Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know if I have a good answer for that. It would probably be something silly. Like what? You got one?
Yeah, fire away.
Oh, Kevin.
Well,
Greg's got one.
No, first I said, yeah, that's not mine, and then like something just popped in my head. So.
Oh, well, you go because you're
Is
more
this
of the
for
music.
Bill or for you?
This would have been for me.
But-
Okay, go
All
ahead.
right, we like it.
No, I'm going with Journey. Don't stop believing.
Nice. Nice. Yes. Nice.
Because
We're
it
gonna
also
play that
applies-
in the background,
It also
too, when you
applies
say
to
it.
business as well. You know, it's not always easy. Just don't
That's right.
stop believing.
That's
we,
right.
we think Bill is yours like Rocky.
I don't know. Yeah, I would probably get really cheesy on it. I pull another one. Let me give me one more.
I got you one. I got you
Okay,
one. Now
okay.
I really hope and pray
Yeah.
that you have a good relationship with your parents or something. Because this is the first time I pulled this one. But is there any particular habit, good or bad, I guess, right? Nobody's totally useless. They can serve as a bad example. What habit have you picked up from your parents that you like?
Oh God. Well, I will say it's funny. Maybe I can grab one from each. My dad, who was a longtime General Motors guy, back up in Buffalo for years. One thing I picked up from him is he always had a great sense of humor and was kind of the life of every party that you'd go to. He always had something to say, right? It was a great peanut gallery, and that's probably what I'm. Yeah, you guys are shaking. I can't tell a joke. There you go. There you go. I mean, Greg and Kevin can tell. They're great storytellers and they're great joke tellers, but I am not that. But I can drop a couple of those zingers on you just off the cuff, and so I got that from my dad. He's really good at that. And then my mom, she's probably the sweetest lady you've ever met in your life. And one of the things I always picked up from her is that she was always gracious when anybody ever did anything for her or was doing things for other people. And so it's one of the things I always try to look at when I'm going through life and go, oh my God, that's somebody who did something that they went out of their way for. And my mom is always great at that. I mean, she sees somebody going out of their way and doing something nice and special for somebody. It's like she calls it out, and I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. That's a great thing when you see people who are working, especially in our owning a business. When you see folks that are putting in more effort than you would ever ask for them, and they don't need to if they don't have to, and they do it, you're like, yeah, that's really special. I need to make sure that they're aware of that, and I think so. That's probably the two things. I don't know if those are good answers.
So
but
keeping
Those
humor
are great answers.
I think you got to keep humor. You've seen it from us. I mean, we have to be. I mean, just because we're serious with our customers and software development can get very serious. You got to have some humor, and if you don't have sense of humor, and you can't have fun with each other, it doesn't make for a very good team environment. So we're always looking for people who have good sense of humor because you got to have it.
So keeping humor, going the extra mile.
Going the extra
That's
mile
what
and
you
making
learn
sure
from
you
mom and dad.
appreciate people, right? You really got to make sure in our business, when you run a business that you don't just look, oh, I'm so-and-so, I'm I got the C in my title. It's you really have to look at folks and go, be very appreciative of everything they do because they don't have to be there. Especially in technology in Charlotte with the banking industry, they could go anywhere they want. And the fact that they want to work for, with us is pretty special. So make sure we appreciate it.
Bill, I'll throw in there. You're like the sleeper cell. So you don't come out as being very social, but when you turn it on, you're extraordinarily social, and you can just work a room.
Oh,
Right, and then same thing from a technology standpoint, right? You're like people like, oh, who's the technology person here? And all of a sudden, Bill opens up and starts talking about all the stuff he knows. And you're like, oh, that's him.
Where'd that come from?
Yeah. So he's
That's awesome.
Well, thank you. I
hidden
appreciate
gem.
that.
Yeah.
Take it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't really care if people know what my title is. I mean, a lot of people get surprised a lot of times. They're like, "Wait a minute, I'm like, whatever."
And real quick, I didn't. I mean, did you have a song?
No, I'm good.
Nothing came to head. No.
He just likes to sing.
It's
like
usually,
if you're
it's
gonna
usually a
You
song.
seemed like you'd like to sing.
No. He's waiting for
Broadway,
you to.
Broadway musicals from the 50s and 60s. You name it. Yeah. throw it out there.
really?
No,
Oh yeah. How much time you got?
Oh boy.
We'll do karaoke night one time.
Yeah.
And don't get stuck in a car from Atlanta to Charlotte with him.
He is a
Name that
singer.
tune
I
for
can
6
see
hours
it. I can see it. Let's give him one more and get him out of here. It's been great.
All right, we'll start with Kevin on this one. What's the weirdest food combination that you enjoy?
Any banana peanut butter sandwiches or?
Oh, I got one of those. Yeah, I'm along that vein.
Are you there?
And this is from my mom. She started me on peanut butter and pickle, and that sounds horrible, but it is actually delicious, like sweet bread and butter pickles.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it. That's
You get the sweet and salty.
yeah. I don't know. It's one of those things. Like if somebody told me that and I never tried it, I'd be like, "That's disgusting," but it's delicious.
Yeah.
Do you have anything? I mean, is there?
I'm not sure. I just
pretty
drink. I
straightforward?
drink copious amounts of Diet Coke.
Yeah.
No. Let's be clear what we're saying. Like literally, if you could have a Rambo
define copious.
bullet thing that goes across your chest to hold all the giant bullets,
like
he
a
would.
Valera?
If he could get 2-pack on there, that's a
I
day
drink
for him.
about-
It's probably
about-
not safe at this point. That's
about
like
10 a
lab
day.
rat level.
Yeah, 10 a day.
10 a day. Yeah. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. And it's
No
Diet
shit.
Coke.
Cheers.
Wow.
Yeah. Diet Coke. And he brings Diet Cokes to restaurants when we go to eat.
Just in case they don't have.
No, because he's like, yeah, you might not have what I
You
like.
might not have
So
a
your
Diet
your
Coke.
Pepsi's not
Like
good
Diet
enough for me.
Pepsi? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
But he's going to be well preserved when he dies. So
I'm
we're
looking
all
for
excited about
sponsorships.
that.
That's what I'm
Speaking
going
of
for.
pickles.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. Pickled Kevin.
My body will not decompose. It'll just kind of be pickled.
Yeah, he's already formaldehyde.
Yeah.
That's great. And
How
gross.
about you, Greg? Any foods?
Any weird combinations you like out
I'll
there?
do a
your
shout
kids
out. I'll do a shout out to my dad.
All right.
Baked bean
Please.
sandwiches.
Wait, what?
What?
Baked bean?
Baked bean
How did
sandwiches.
that stay
So
together?
it's just you toast it. You get some baked beans. You put bacon. You put cheese, and you put the other toasted piece of bread on there.
I'd do it.
And
That sounds good.
And
Yeah.
it
Actually
bore out of an old
does.
family recipe from the Great Depression, like how they kind of.
That's what it
survived
sounds- yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just something that's evolved through the family, and
Great Depression,
It
bacon
carries
was
over.
optional, right? That's right. Maybe the bread, too.
Yeah, you just
Beans
have
and
beans.
bacon go together
just
anyway,
pretending to
right?
eat it.
So
So it's super
some
odd.
cheese
It may
and
not
bread.
odd. Yeah, maybe it's not an odd combination, but it's definitely an odd.
haven't heard it before.
No, me neither. That does sound good, though.
Yeah. Well, it
You
is
ready?
almost dinner time.
Yeah.
Let's
So
go try
listen,
one of these.
we'll let these guys get going, man. You guys have been awesome. We're going to want to hit you back up maybe in a couple years, see really where this thing has gone and what you guys have done. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody here, you're going to see their emails and LinkedIn and those types of things. It's very easy to get a hold of them. Just knowing these guys and who they are, reach out to them if you have a question. I'm just throwing them out there. Like, you guys
Yep.
are going to have to
No.
now answer emails.
You've
Like,
been voluntold.
No
Nice.
choice.
LinkedIn
good.
them tomorrow.
That's right. We'll talk to him. Bring it on.
And I know you
Greg
will.
will get a lot of Boston baked bean sandwiches.
Oh, man. I would love. I would
that
love to see the
wheat bread?
combos
Is
that
that
we
white
get. Right?
bread?
That's
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, very good. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for coming. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to us here at USA Booming, where we just bring people like this, phenomenal entrepreneurs, people, thought provokers, life changers, game changers, whatever. I don't know. You want to say goodbye?
Goodbye.
You guys want to say goodbye?
Goodbye, guys. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to USA Booming. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend or leave us a rating and a review on your podcast platform of choice. Don't forget to check out the archives for other great conversations. Got questions? Email us at Sam or Ryan at usabooming.com or DM us on Instagram at USA_booming. That's it for now. We'll be back soon with another great talk with an entrepreneur you won't want to miss.